Hey everybody, Josh the Tile Guy here. Time to mix Thinset. Okay, so yes, there is a right and a wrong way to mix Thinset. If you go by the instructions on the bag, you should actually have measurements, measure out the exact amount of water, pour it in, mix it, go step by step, which yes, that worked, but of the hundreds and hundreds of guys that I've installed tile along with, including myself, and of the thousands of you that I've talked to, I know exactly zero who have ever done that. So we're gonna go with more of a real world application, and I'm just gonna show you how to mix Thinset. At minimum, you're gonna want 3 buckets. One is the bucket we're gonna put the Thinset in and mix it. One is the bucket for water that we're adding the Thinset in. And the third bucket is gonna keep our mixing bit nice and clean. So let's take a brief moment and talk about Thinset versus a mastic. Now mastic can be good in some instances. It comes in a bucket, it's pre-mixed. You take the lid off the bucket, you start smearing it on the walls. It does not work in the shower or wet application at all. Never, never, never. On the bucket, it says floor and wall mastic. Don't use it on the floors. The tile we selected is a large format tile and it's going on the walls. A mastic doesn't have anti-sag properties, so we're not gonna use it. This is what the professionals use. This is what you should use. Not necessarily this brand, this is just what we're picked to use today, but something like this. Stay away from mastics unless you're doing mosaics on a backsplash or small tiles, 4x4, something like that on an accent wall, or as a wainscot in a dry area like a hallway or something like that. But please, please, please do not use mastic in a shower and do not use mastic on the floors. All right, let's get going. So we're gonna take this bucket and fill the orange bucket up about 1/4 of the way. Now we add our Thinset. Now we're gonna add some more water on top. It's best not to go overboard because we can always add more water. We can't always take the water out. If you do get too much water in there, don't get too upset because we can always add more Thinset to make it the consistency we like. Okay, so at this point, we want to check our Thinset and see if it's a consistency we like. Now the consistency you're going for is not soup, and it's not like a wet sand mix either. It's more of like a creamy icing on a cake. So you can stick your finger down in here, you can check it, and you can see that this is pretty creamy consistency, and this is something we're gonna like working with. If it's too wet, it's just gonna run, it's not gonna have the anti-sag properties that you want. And if it's too thick, you're gonna be working too hard against it. Now's the time when we do need to pay attention to the back of the bag, and I'm gonna show you why. Okay, so there's very important instructions on the back of this bag. As far as mixing the water, we've already talked about that. When it talks about the time to mix the Thinset, it says up to 5 minutes. You wanna make sure you get all of your lumps out of there, so you get that smooth, creamy consistency like icing on a cake. Now, you see this here, it says wait 5 to 10 minutes. So what is happening? Well, it's a process called slaking. I don't really know what it does. There's some vitamins or electrolytes or dinosaurs in there doing something. But here's what happens if you don't do it. If you don't do it, we go to start working with this Thinset. After about 45 minutes to an hour, it's gonna start hardening up on us and get to where we have to dump it out and start over. If I let this rest for 5 to 10 minutes and then remix it, this bucket of Thinset will last me 3 to 4 hours. So if you're a slow worker, if you're working by yourself, it's very important to let that happen. Now, what's a good use of your time while you're waiting that 5 to 10 minutes? Well, go stack up your tiles next to you, make sure you've got your floor covered or your surrounding surfaces covered so you can protect them, don't damage them. Make sure you've got water ready. You can go ahead and start making some of your cuts if you're at that point, or really just do whatever you want. All right, so we've let this Thinset slake for 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes it may need more, sometimes it may need less, depending on where you are, how hot it is, how cold it is, the humidity, all that sort of thing. So just kind of play with it and you'll get the hang of it. You can see here that the top of this is kind of stiffened up and my mixer bit is having trouble moving around in here. We're gonna hit it with the mixer again, and then I'm gonna show you the consistency afterwards, and we'll know that whatever happened has happened and we're ready to go put this Thinset on the wall. Once I'm done mixing, just give the mixer a couple of taps on this bucket. Now this third bucket comes in handy. We're just gonna stick this over here and give it a couple of mixes. Doesn't have to be a lot. We don't want to make a big mess. But as you can see, my mixing bit is almost clean already, at least the mixing part, and the shafts are easy to clean. So if you'll hit your mixer into a bucket of clean water, after each time you mix a bucket of Thinset, at the end of the day, you're not going to spend a ton of time scraping and cleaning your mixing bit. So now we know how to mix Thinset. In the next video, you're going to see how to install wall tile. Now this video is sponsored by AccuFloor. Go to www.accufloor.com, enter promo code JOSH, and get 10% off everything they sell. They've got leveling spacers, they've got horseshoe spacers, they've got leave-in spacers. They have this really cool product that I haven't seen anywhere else. It's called the Easy Levelers, which you'll see in the next video when we install wall tile. So head over to accufloor.com, use promo code JOSH and save 10%. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and tune in for the next video.
We're gonna get you.